Chorja Dever Masa is Misha Prunchista Pura Privita Cholashta Om, Bhliain Dúspóra Fáilte a chur Tishmahori Cuimhnóirí agus Daltaí, a basic Tusulin Jeremy Lunas Tus Man for Fihe Hain. Tá cupúd gur gádún a chur os fagóra macha dúspóra, roint rudí gur gádún bheith cíntathe sulla dagan si bhisteach agus sulla gurn si túsla leis nó lever idechas formúl an seo I goláiste ón. Tá súlagum si bheith eiscint mar mór grúpa hismóthóirí beidir ag tús nó ag deire ní manfór na bliana seo onas gur féile síos córa cuppanté nó cafe bheithagan lena chéile agus tús ceart a chur leis an scoil blian. Ach idir an dálinn tá rudí gur gádún phlé libse agus leis na daltaí atá teachlinn. Onas go dtí an gachnine céir atá idir láb ag an buinte seo, tá mé chun an chlár nó tá mé chun an fí seo a chur gá hangach, so dábhrí sin beag béarla agus gael galertagum. So I would like to welcome all the new parents and those parents that we've been very loyal to us over the years with the start of our new cohort, which will be coming in end of August, start of September 2021. Obviously, we would be meeting you in, I suppose, our hall in a virtual setting where we'll be able to discuss and explain an awful lot of the, I suppose, the preparatory work that has to go in while a child is transforming from, I suppose, or transgressing from the primary school to secondary. So it is very important that tonight that we go through some of the basic rudiments of what we would expect from you as a school body and as pupils to be able to ensure that you fulfill a lot of the documentation before we come into school, which is a necessity so that we can move forward as a group. So dúspóra Bhliain físbeag chur siúl a video, a small video, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, that probably will encompass what the whole ethos of what Coláiste Eoin stands for. So enjoy it, and I will see you in 2 or 3 minutes.
Is Misha Coláiste Eoin, scríofa ag Oisín Cuimhnóireach, Mello Lurchán, Oisín Hills, Cahalo Gregor, Steffo Calachán agus Lucas ó Bhliain. Is mé an buachal beag bídeach, cailte a meas na bhathach an gcéad lá. Is mé an bród as an uller an suantas, má ghansaí nua dúchorm. Is mé an béal ina host, tus nach bin, marall má ghaeilge bhriste. Is mé an dúchláin nua, an saol omláin difriúil.
Is mé an slitter, ag sciúra tríd an air, an bhróg fella I bhostú sa láib. Is mé an cumán atá inis ina tríú láb agam. Is mé an anáú trom na scábhóg I níor rás a chríochnú. Is mé an second éigean tuchta is an léir ar imil an chiseáin.
Is mé an macala a chlistear tríd an basáiste, agus eirlis á seint go héanaach ar státe. Is mé an chúthal ribh hasamh is leirt, agus mé an mund díospóachta os córnas luúta. Is mé ciúnas na leireanna, agus an tart chun leir nua a husnú. Is mé an leir leithléite, calta I braseach an chealtáin.
Is mé an fuise bhahagan le turthaí mo chuid scrútha. Is mé mulla an bhúntóra nuair thugam an freagra cheart. Is mé an spraga nuair dhéanam mo cheapníú. Is mé an peann scríban I Gaeilge amháin. Is mé an severas a bhánam le teanga orsa ardúra.
Is mé an cóplar full of idirblina. Is mé an nóra in dhiad leirt le colín a chláiste íscána den chéad óir. Is mé an lad óg sainte a thugan isteach sa seomaranga chun bhála a bhailiú. Is mé na tróirce agus na ceisina a ghabhann le cuid a. Is mé bulla an cheapara cáise dóite sa hala ag amláin.
Is mé takeíocht mo chóscoilóirí ar an taobhlína.
Le cainteocht, Easy mé Malone.
Is mé I.
Is mé O.
Is mé I.
Is mé N.
Is Misha Coláiste Eoin.
Is Misha an bucalóg a níis ina ar úsal.
Is Misha spirit na scola a bharthaí ionan godó.
Is mé an dúchláin nua, an saol omláin difriúil.
Gur míle mágah tásúlagum go bhainteamh tainmh as an fhí sin meall stair agus tradiisiún Coláiste Eoin. The video gives us, I suppose, a brief insight into who we are, what we stand for, and what we were going to try to ensure the best level of education that your son will try to achieve within his 6 years in Coláiste Eoin. So therefore, it is very important that they understand the ethos from where we are, and that they always remain dílis. Don mana in áiríre ná meas agus misneach, which is respect and courage, and that they are two things that they will hear. Those two words, or those two saying, will be heard right the way through their career in Coláiste Eoin, meas agus misneach. No matter what you do in life, no matter what we achieve in life, those two key words will actually define you, us, and as a school, that you show respect yourself and others, and then you have the courage of your conviction to achieve whatever you are going to achieve in life. So the second thing is that we have to explain to parents as they come in their first year that we are a Christian brother school under the patronage of the Edmund Rice Trust. Basically, that all just basically means that we are a Catholic school, and we would adhere to the Catholic values that have been laid down by our forefathers, the Christian brothers, as to how we as a school will treat all our pupils equally, but at the same time we will adhere to the Catholic teachings, and we will celebrate Mass, and we will celebrate prayer, daily prayers every Tuesday when the groups come together. Again, this is not to diminish or to say that every child has a right to their own courage, their own convictions, but as a school, we are under the patronage of the Christian brothers, and that means that we are a Catholic school, and we will adhere to those rules. After that, there are no taking gach duine atá bunathe gur scoil agus gur choláiste lángailech in eisceart baile a clia atá anseo. An ról atá agin ná éireacht dúchas agus cultúr na tíre seo a chur gréach. Our aim and our role must be the promotion of the Irish language, not just the language, our heritage, our culture, our music, and all of that becomes embodied in your son as they move through the different year groups. It takes time to settle in, it takes time to become part of the fabric, but by the time they leave, they become young men, and they become men who will ensure that our heritage, our culture will continue, and it is with your boys, eventually young men, that will be able to ensure our language will survive. And as their forefathers have done over the last 50 years, this next group will be no different. Tá an Gaeilge faoi bhlá agus a chead sin a thuairt dar níorscoláirí tuismitheoirí agus gach aon duine pobal Coláiste Eoin atá ag trabhaló bliain in íge chéile. So a ríist anna habhat gur fad sí Gaeilge an tanga leabhartha amháin atá ar scoil. Irish is the only spoken language in school. For any boy who's starting, the school does provide extra tuition to ensure that they will catch up on the rest of the boys if there is a problem with the spoken or written language. And those classes will go on usually on a Friday afternoon, but during the week as well, depending on the availability of teachers and of how the timetable will be formatted. So the next thing then is, I suppose, the areas where we really have to look closely at, and which is we are an iPad school. What does that mean? Well, all students are expected to have an iPad with them on a daily basis. It would be like electronic school bag. We're now going to our 10th year of iPads. Any child that doesn't have an iPad will find it more difficult, I suppose, because all teachers are trained. Due to the pandemic, we have now found ourselves in a technological advancement which has most of the country by surprise so quickly, but we have adapted in Coláiste Eoin because we had been using iPads. The change to online learning and platforms, I won't say that it was easy, but it wasn't as hard maybe as other schools would have found it because of the level of technology that is being used and will be used in the future. So again, Maestro Bhliain later in this fiche will explain, I suppose, go into more detail as to how and the way that we are now an iPad school, and therefore that it is imperative that every parent that is putting their child into Coláiste Eoin realises that without an iPad, your son may be at a disadvantage from the learning point of view within a class structure, as if every other boy has one, it does become very, very difficult. So again, just to bear that in mind, and Maestro Bhliain will be discussing that with you later on in this video. I'll move on then, and I'm going to pass you over now to Siobhan Ní Bhliain, who is our secretary. She will explain the documentation that has been sent to you by post. She will go through each of them and explain to you exactly what you need to do, what you need to fill in, as it is very important that we get all that documentation back. Without that documentation back and signed, your son will still not be registered as a pupil in Coláiste Eoin. So it is very important that we get them by the date that Siobhan is going to tell you, and within that she will explain to you about the choice subjects and everything that is to do with that package. So I'll pass you over to Siobhan now.
Steve, is Misha Siobhan Ní Bhliain, Rooney and Sal Coláiste Eoin. I'm Siobhan Ní Bhliain and I'm the school secretary here in Coláiste Eoin. I am going to speak to you on the package that you will receive in the post, and I am going to do this through English, so there should be no problems. Now, each parent will receive this parcel of paperwork who has accepted a place for their son in Coláiste Eoin for the school year 2021-2022. If you have changed your mind and your son is not coming here, you may dispose of this, but please do let us know, as we have quite a long waiting list and we'd like to keep that moving along if at all possible. The first thing I will mention to you is our school uniform. So the boys wear a navy jumper, which is crested, which can be got in the uniform warehouse shop in Cranford, and there are details here in the pack. The grey trousers and sky blue shirt are generic and can be bought anywhere. They must wear black leather shoes, not Vans, not runners, black leather. And then for their sports, they may wear whatever kit they want when they're doing their PE, their Corpa Dacash. So if you have a Tipperary supporter or a Dub supporter, you can wear whatever you want. The runners then for the sports hall, and we do have a new all-weather pitch. So for those that will be taking classes on the pitches, they will have to invest in Astro football boots, which unfortunately cannot then be used in the holosport. And that is it. The other item, which is crested, which can be bought from Cranford, is their school jacket. So that is a navy regatta, crested with Coláiste Eoin. It will have the boys' initials and year of entry, so that in the case that it is misplaced, it can be found and reconciled with its owner quickly. Now, regarding this pack, I have everything here. So we'll just do the colour. The first piece here is just a letter of welcome from our pre-vida, Francesca Pura. The second piece is your Rawa Over, subject choices for first year. Now, we do ask that you fill from 1 to 6. 4 of these offers will be given to the boys, but 5 and 6 come into play if classes are oversubscribed. So please do fill 1 to 6. The next page, now this is the order in which you will have them received in your pack. This is Sunri Nadalthi. So it is the student details for the students. So it's all to do with their name, the boy's name, address, birth date, medical card, contact details for mother and father or guardians. And then we have 2 questions where we ask if you tugum cad den shola riafust ahort the question of the shmahori, if you permit for your email address to be given to the Parents Committee. And also that within the school we have an SMS system. So if it's a thing that your son is, we need to send out information to you, whether it's in the old days it used to be parent-teacher meetings, or that school will be ending early or late starting, whatever else. So we ask that one of the numbers be given as a specific contact detail. Both can be given, but please just, fill it in this specific place. And then the other question is that if your son entitled to additional resource or learning support hours, which if that is the case, it's important information that we have so that then we can put in place resource teaching for him as he continues on into secondary school. The next page is a Caldunas Calton, and on the back, locker license. We have lockers, the students have lockers within the school, so they pay €20 for a lock, and that lock stays with them from first year through to 6th. Then they pay an annual 10 for the use of the locker, and that covers repairs of lockers and locks and everything else. So again, this is an understanding for parents, that you understand that the principal and the vice principal may have the need to actually open your son's locker. The next one is a CAD Tishmahora Kaivnora, a parental guardian consent. And this is a cover-all. In the case that your child is in a sports team, on a debating team or anything, and if a photograph is taken, instead of us having to go and contact each parent for every occasion, this covers everything. So if you give your consent, fine, and if you don't, that's fine too. But it just covers everything that may arise. Next then is policy na Gaeilge, and it is Gaeilge and then Berla on the back. Everything you will get from the school will be bilingual, obviously Tus Áit than Gaeilge, but it is bilingual, and that is just to be read. Next we have the Code Umper, the Code of Conduct. And this is an important document for your son and yourselves to read and for him to sign on the back. I would ask that you send the Irish version back to us, and you may keep the English copies by way of reference if you ever want to double check or go back as to exactly what has been signed. The next one then is Policy Modular Úsáid Inglacha iPad. So this is policy with the acceptable use of iPad. And this is important because all students here now have iPads. So again, it's that they respect their boundaries laid down on the iPads and firewalls within the school. Next is Policy Úsáide Inglacha Riamhrí agus Idirlín, Computer and Internet Acceptable Use Policy. Again, it is just that they recognise the safeguards and will abide to firewalls within school. And this is basically when they're in the technology rooms within the school and maybe over in the library. And then there is general information here on the voluntary contribution and Sin Pús Jonach. And as the name applies, it is voluntary. So I will just leave that there. That's just information for you. Last then is the information on and the costings on your school uniform. So, and I think that is it. Now, the last thing is the envelope that you have received in your pack, and it has a checklist for everything that is to come back to us. So you just checklist down here. The last item on it is for €40. That is to cover the locker and his lock, so that's €30, and the 10 is to cover his school journal. Now, at the moment, we're not accepting any monies in through the office, So I have direction here that you go to the school website, and there is a pay now button on the school website, and that is where that will be set up there as a payment. There is also an annual school bill for the boys in first year, which at the moment is at €225. That I will be in contact with you later on when your son is actually in school. Regarding your package with all of your signed paperwork, I ask please if you wouldn't mind sending it back to us here in the school by registered post. Post is a little bit haphazard at the minute, so the paperwork is too important not to be certain that we're receiving it here. So I would ask that you would send it by registered post. That then is everything. Tásúil go mbeidh saoradh an scothagah, agus tá masúla bóla leis na bóchlaí nua agus libhsin an tuismothirí. Gur míle maith. I hope that you all have a lovely summer, and I'm looking forward to meeting your sons and yourselves in the next school year. Gur maith. Cuinnig í slán.
Gur míle maith hAon. So again, you have heard from our secretary Siobhan what needs to be done, what needs to be filled in, and again, if you have any difficulty, please contact ce@hAonisagán.ie and we will be able to help you, or the school phone number is 01-288-4002 and you can ask for Siobhan. Again, we ask you to fill them in as promptly as you possibly can and send back all the relevant details so that we can then register your son as a pupil in hAon for September 2021. Now I'm going to pass you on to our Deputy Principal, An Maistear McDonagh, and he will explain the role of how a school runs on a daily basis and how, I suppose, the transformation from, a child that has been in a class with a single teacher for practically most of their schooling life will now go into, I suppose, a totally different schooling approach where they will be moving every 14 minutes from class to class, teacher to teacher. And as this is an overwhelming, thing at the start, they move into it fairly quickly. So the Maistear McDonagh is going to explain the rudiments from, your the attire to how the school runs on 20 to 9, half 8, 20 to 9 to half 3 every day, and what he would expect of our first few pupils coming in, and how we as a school would put certain structures in place to help you and to help the students to be able to get into hAon way of life as soon as possible. So Maistear McDonagh.
Díreibh, is me Pádraig McDonagh, last private of hAon. Hello, my name is Pádraig McDonagh. I'm the Deputy Principal of hAon. I'm going to give you a brief rundown of the school day in hAon. Students will arrive at school before 8:30. They will use their swipe cards and go to their lockers in the school hall to prepare for the school day. Classes begin at 8:40 and they finish at 3:30. There's a sus at 10 o'clock and a lunch break at 12:50. Classes last for 40 minutes and students travel to other classrooms where they have different teachers for different subjects. The school diary is very important for communication between teachers and parents. Students will also use the school diary for their homework and for the timetable. Your son will have a class teacher who is responsible for attendance, punctuality and discipline. He will also have a yearhead, Bhliain, who is responsible for communicating with parents, pastoral care and assessment. We also have a club of Eolas every Friday at 2 o'clock, which lasts for an hour and a half. And the students will be able to play on a new sports field where they'll have to wear astronauters. For any other information, please get in contact with ce@hAonisagán.ie. Gurmagi.
Gurmil Maga to Worcester. So again, everything I suppose has been explained as well as we possibly can via this method. Again, any problems, anything in relation to uniform, to iPads or anything like that, again, you can speak to the Master McDonagh. He's available here again through the Rooney, and you can speak to him about anything that's troubling you in relation to any of the first years. Now, last but by no means least, the Master Bhliain, who is year head to 6 years this year, but also has a role of iPad coordinator and works with Wriggle. So he's going to actually explain to you as parents, guardians and pupils the importance of the iPad in, I suppose, development within the Irish education system, but more importantly towards those that will be doing the junior cycle with us, that the understanding of this modern technology now has become paramount, and therefore, again, as I say to you, please listen carefully, and again, if you have any questions or anything like that, please send them on and we will try to answer them as soon as possible. Master Bhliain.
Tíomh chuirde, fáilte roimhann seo anocht, go míle maith agam sucht éisteach leis an piece beag ibre seo. You're all very welcome, and thank you for listening to this little information piece on iPads in Coláiste. Master Pura asked me to speak to you a little bit about it and about what we do in Coláiste with iPads. Mar chunig sibh ar an físeán beag tháinig roimh seo, that little snippet there that in the intro, you've seen an example of what it looks like in class when kids are using the iPad. A lot of the students you can see are all actually very happy looking. That was a maths class, by the way. So some of them were working on individual projects, some of them were working together on things. And all the while, as a teacher, I can see what they're doing from my iPad or walk around and help them as they work. Some of the things that they would do now that they probably wouldn't have had the chance to do before is to cooperate more, to have more self-directed learning. Once upon a time, if everybody had to stay together in the maths class or whatever class you were working in, and you had to go at the pace that suited everybody or the middle of the class. But now, if someone's finished early, they can go ahead and work themselves and do some extra work and get feedback from that, either in automated systems or from a teacher, or they can go and work together and help each other out if they have a problem trying to solve something. Once upon a time, maybe you would have 2 or 3 guys putting their hands up, answering questions and involved in the class, but maybe some other guys would kind of hide in the background and maybe not get a chance to participate as much unless you drew them out, of course. But now you can ask everybody for an answer, and they all type an answer in straight away, and you can get a list of answers coming through in a chat, for example, in Teams. Quickly scan through the answers, see who's on the right track, who's lost, and then draw them out in discussion, see if we can help those who are lost to understand, or encourage the guys who do know a bit more, maybe to share their information with the others and get a chance to present information and get a chance to discuss all these things that are required in Junior Cert, the new Junior Cert. Being able to express yourself as well as being able to do the maths or do whatever subject it is you're talking about. So I'm just going to run through a few little snippets here of little examples of what the apps or methods that the students, your son, would end up using if he's using the iPad. And then there are a couple of other videos there that you should check out. One of them is the video from Wriggle. It's a company that we work with. We've been working with them now for all this time, maybe 6 years or more than that actually, yeah. One good thing I'll say about them is every year when we come back to them with recommendations or things that we found that we need to be fixed, they take them on board, and every year they change how to do things. So we're getting better every year. So there are some changes now, especially if you've had some of your sons in with us before in older years. Things have changed a bit, so do keep an eye and make sure you're up to speed with what's going on. So there's 2 videos from Wriggle. One of them is about technology and learning, and one of them is about the whole process of how you get your iPad and how it works. That's the important one, so you know the dates for the opening of the shops and things like that. So keep an eye on that. There's also a parent pack, they call it, which is basically a leaflet with all the details on it that you need to know. So make sure you look at those as well to find out what you need to do if you're in the near future. They've also got a new thing called Wriggle Connect, which is definitely worth checking out, where for a reasonable fee, I think, you can get a whole suite of short bite-sized videos on how to do various things with the iPad for both parents and students. So they can learn things go ahead and learn things if they want to learn extra things. There's a basic package which is free, which gives you all the things that you need to get started and get up and running. But then if you're interested in getting more, you can opt into that as well. So that's something to look out for as well. We already use a system like that for the teachers. Instead of having in-service days where we'd have a whole day taken up for someone coming and going through something which may or may not suit everybody, because everybody's at different stages usually, we now have this, we use the Wriggle Connect, so teachers can dip in and out and progress in whatever ways they want to and learn whatever they need to learn about technology, rather than everybody having to do the same thing, and then they can clock their hours there and we can see how they're managing. So I'll just show you a couple of things that your son might be looking at, and maybe I'll mention a few points as we go along. So this is an example of maybe of one of the ebooks they might use. Seolar Physic and Oliet Gustodum. Fekatun Shin Grafade Low Skriver. They can write on it, they can add annotations, they can tap and add in notes if they need to, occasional notes. And all those notes will stay there. They can be accessed at any time. They can bookmark a page if they need to. A lot of the things that we used to do ourselves by hand with pens and paper. So that's at this stage it's just replicating what we would have had ourselves before. But all that is kept there, and it can be edited or deleted or found later on. You just scan through all the bookmarks there that we made earlier on, or you can scan through the notes that you've done earlier on. So by the end of the year, they'd have a collection of all these little notes and things that they'd have in their book. But it's not just about ebooks. If it was just about ebooks, it wouldn't be worth it. It's about the students creating their own material. For example, they can put things together, give you an answer in a different format. They can show you how to do something with a video, as this student's doing here, or in the previous one there was a bit of a PowerPoint presentation. We're using photographs of work that they've taken. Some of them even then in art classes and things like that, they can use it for creating animations like this one here. And in this case, it's an example of the cooperation involved as well. So that you have students working together in teams to create things like this. And they get great enjoyment out of it. Things now you'll see a lot of things here from maths, unfortunately, because I'm a maths teacher. But things like drawing graphs, yes, they will draw graphs as they normally would have, but now they can draw graphs much more quickly, they can draw diagrams much more quickly, they can investigate things much more quickly, and they can notice patterns, therefore, rather than having to draw 10 graphs to see what's going on. Within a couple of minutes they have graphs there to study. For all subjects, you can have the standard flashcards that we used to have ourselves, well, in a more digital form, so things haven't changed that much, I suppose. But they can save all their definitions, anything they need themselves in things like Quizlet here, and then they can test themselves in various ways. So you can see themselves being corrected when they get it wrong, or they match up these. It's a bit of a game they can play here, matching up the definitions with the terms. Or they can do Microsoft Forms. Some teachers have really taken to Microsoft Forms, and the students can put in the answers, they get feedback straight away, and they seem to love this because they come back the next day telling you about all the things that they noticed they got wrong, whereas before you would have corrected something, they didn't even look at it maybe. You'd have to force them to look at it and make them check it out. A lot of their work could be structured using teams like this here. So you could, as a parent, look at the teams anytime you wanted to and have a look and see what their classes were, what the work they were doing. In OneNote like this here, they would keep record of all their work, all their homework over the years. You can imagine how many copies are lost by the time you get to third year. So all that work is saved. And if you're worried about what they're doing in class, we can use Apple Classroom like this to lock the iPads, view their screens. All the students will appear across here in the front, so we can see what they're actually doing at any moment in class. at home then, which is probably what you want to look into as well, is a thing called screen time. So you can keep an eye on their use of the iPad, you can lock the downtime, you can set app limits, you have as much as little control as you want. That's just a little taster of some of the things that can be done with the iPad. You could go on forever. Most of the part is taking a chance by letting me talk about iPads, but I try to curtail it to 10 minutes if I could. Obviously there's plenty more to be said about them, but that gives you a little idea of what's to be done. The main thing though is to check out the videos from Wriggle and the parent pack from Wriggle. Also not yet, but later on the school website will be updated, so more or less around April, I'd say. The latest news will be up on the school website about iPads. But from now on, once you make contact with Wriggle, they'll be your main contact for questions and answers and any support that you need. So they're the best people to contact once you get started. So the main thing to watch out for is dates for the opening of the shop and the store code that you'll need if you are logging on to Wriggle, and obviously the contact numbers for Wriggle. So they'll be all in the parent pack that you'll see after the other 2 videos from Wriggle. So go míle maith go bheadh éiste chlum tásúlagam go gabhairinte seo beag an libh. Agus tá fáilte roimh agus bhfuair mic go chláisteáin. Tásúla go mór le bheith ag go below. Come agah.
The new junior cycle is based on the development of 8 key skills. These key skills are fundamental to each and every one of our everyday lives. Building these skills in school prepares students with the tools they need to be able to handle everyday tasks in school, work, and life in general. Albert Einstein famously said, "Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid." We all know that every student is an individual and that there are many different ways to learn. These different learning styles were not always catered for with traditional teaching and learning methods. A blended approach using technology helps to ensure inclusion for every learner, enabling each student to participate in a way that best suits their learning style. Think about how the classroom has or hasn't changed since the 1960s and each decade since then. The classroom of today is now very different and needs to be in order to prepare our students with the key skills they will need for third level studies, the workplace and beyond.
The impact of the iPad in the school has been huge. Over the last 7 years, we have completely transformed the way teaching happens in the school. Every student has access to, or they have their own iPad. So that means it's a one-to-one, one student to one device. Using the iPads has really helped every student. We have found that there is higher engagement with students, and we did find that students who had access to an iPad in class and at home actually achieved higher scores than comparable students who had had no access to the iPad in class. So that was very positive.
I personally post all my classes and material to Schoology, which is our online platform. Students, if they're absent, can access this, or if they need just a little bit of extra time to grasp some key concepts, they can also then go back at a later date and have a little look. They tend to be a lot more creative when they have the iPad and use the apps. If there's a student who has a particular need, they can decide how best, I suppose, to produce work back to me, and it enables them then to meet their potential in terms of their learning.
Using the iPad makes us a lot more independent. We're able to research and put it into our own words, which makes it easier for us to learn the topics.
And they also help us research our homework if we're not sure on something. You get to do it yourself more, you get to research it, so it kind of sticks in your head more than just looking at words on a book.
We can instantly gain feedback from maybe a class test that will enable us to plan for our next lesson. We can then adapt our planning and adapt our plans for our next lesson in order to try and make sure that students reach their potential and achieve better next time.
Like any other school in Ireland, Malahide Community School don't have an IT person on site full time, and nor do they need it, because that service is provided by Wriggle to manage those devices. This means that teachers can focus on what's important, which of course is the teaching and learning.
I can't imagine learning without an iPad because it'd just be a lot harder, because I'd have to carry a lot more books to class, which would make my bag a lot heavier. And if I didn't know a question in the class, I couldn't just look it up on my iPad.
And especially if you're using them for choice subjects such as like art and woodwork, you'd be able to take pictures on your iPads for your briefs and for the reflections during the CBAs.
We don't consider ourselves a technology company, we consider ourselves a teaching and learning company, because we're really, really passionate about how technology can help students and how technology can help teachers.
As a technology team at Wriggle, we ensure that all devices are secured by a management profile. This allows only school-approved apps to be downloaded from the school app store. Managing the iPad in this way is absolutely essential. The danger of an unmanaged iPad means that the student can download any app with any age rating at any time. It is our job to make sure that this can't and doesn't happen.
We think it's important that school personnel are allowed time to do what they do best, and that's teaching and learning. To facilitate this, our service delivery team are here throughout the year to support students and parents.
Every iPad goes through a 77-step process to ensure that it's ready for the student to use in school, straight from the box. We lock down every device with the student's unique details. Because of Wriggle's thorough setup and management process, schools, parents and students can be confident that their iPad is fully secured and ready to use in school. This prevents distractions and allows students to get the most from the technology for learning.
Every school is unique. Wriggle's experienced team of teachers and education solutions specialists helps schools identify their technology needs and select the right platform for the school. Wriggle Connect Family is a platform designed to support students and parents with the demands of technology in school and at home. Using bite-sized and engaging content, we guide students and parents through online courses that will ensure you feel confident and comfortable using technology for learning. Our expert teaching team has developed hundreds of videos that focus on important topics like digital safety and well-being, and demonstrate how to use technologies such as iPad, Microsoft Office 365, and Google Apps for education. All of our content is kept regularly up to date, so you can be assured you're getting access to the latest supports. Engaging content designed for both students and parents can be accessed through an easy-to-navigate menu and short 2 to 5 minute bite-sized videos. Students gain certification on course completions to show their progression and learning. Students and parents in Wriggle one-to-one schools will automatically get the Wriggle Connect Basic Plan for free as part of their technology bundle. This includes 24/7 access for students to courses on ebook setup, device settings and updates, as well as supports for parents on how to manage device security, GDPR compliance, and other device features. As well as all of the content in the basic plan. Dependent on the platform your school uses, students will also get access to additional courses in the unlimited plan, including digital safety and well-being online, using apps like Teams, OneNote, Google Classroom in school and at home, keeping your device up to date and safe, study skills using technology, accessibility and inclusion features on your device. And parents will also get access to additional courses, such as digital safety and guidance on internet filtering, screen time monitoring, and well-being, checking homework online, accessibility and inclusion features on your student's device, digital literacy courses like cloud storage, online collaboration, and document processing. Get access to all of this content and much more for only €1.99 per month through our Wriggle Connect Family Unlimited plan. Wriggle's online store is unique to each school. Only the items that you need for school are contained within your school's individual store. Preparing students with everything they need is also now more affordable than ever. You can spread the cost of your purchase over 36 months, allowing you to have your complete device bundle for a low, affordable monthly amount. Applying for Wriggle's Parents Payment Plan is simple, with 24-hour approval and no hidden costs or early repayment penalties. Each device is individually set up, secured and packaged, ready for the student, along with everything they need to get started with technology for learning. Our dedicated support team are on hand to help you with any queries or issues you may have about your Wriggle School technology.
Gurmir Magat Master Brackon. I think now that we've, I suppose, come to the end of our short little video here. It's probably takes, a few hours to digest all the information that has come, I suppose, via this method. At the same time, it is the only way that we have of being able to discuss or to give you the correct information that you need so as to get your student or our student or your son ready for what's ahead of them. So Bhliain fan déilis agus arish mas agus mishnach. An gailge, iPads, documéid a bheith creatnathe agus arash ag a scoil agus an sin tuiscint inis nuair atá sí sin go léir sínathe beag tú inis mar clown choláiste ón. Bí slán tú go ghearad á féin agus go dtí go bheith go misisih I choláiste ón slán tam.